Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I would do an Easter related video for you today. Now I realise I'm a day late but I figured it's still the long bank holiday weekend so I can just about get it in today. And today is going to be an excellent Eggstravaganza. I apologise for that now, that's the puns out the way. But what I wanted to show you was this. Now this is dehydrated egg. As you can see, it's in a really powdery form and it's a really good travel food. It's really easy to pack, it can be really easily rehydrated and used when you're out and about. Now you can buy this from sort of culinary shops and things like that, you know, food wholesalers, even sort of health food stores do this now, either whole egg or just egg whites. But what I wanted to show you today was how to turn just your very standard chicken egg into dehydrated egg with just the use of a home dehydrator. Now you've seen me do vegetables and fruits and meat before, and this is something I've been doing for a little while. You know, I quite like scrambled eggs when I'm out and about, you know, get up in the morning, fry off some bacon, have some eggs, but obviously carrying eggs round with you, you know, you either risk the eggs breaking in your pack, which is definitely not ideal, alternatively you can put them in another container, but again it's a lot of faff and you've always, you know, if you're out in the hot weather, you've got a chance that these are going to maybe go off because they're going to get too hot. So what I'm going to do is really just run you through very quickly how I would make these dehydrated eggs. Right then guys, so it really is as simple as just breaking some eggs. Now I'm not going to do a lot of these today. I've got plenty in this little kilner jar here at the moment, but you know, you need to do a sort of semi-reasonable amount. So I think maybe I'll do 6. That should be enough for us. And as I say, all you're doing is just getting those eggs into a container of some sort. Just wash my hands quickly. And you just want to whisk them up. Now you can use pretty much anything for this, you know, you can use a stand mixer, you can use a fork, you can use a whisk like this. I think I may actually transfer over to a fork in a minute. But at this stage, now normally if I was making scrambled egg, I would have some salt, some pepper, a little dash of milk in there. You can put salt and pepper in at this stage if you want to. I tend not to, just because I tend to share this out when I'm out and about. And obviously, you know, not everybody likes salt and pepper. I mean, you know, if you don't, you're a bit weird, but you know, there you go. The one thing you do want to avoid putting in is milk, because milk really doesn't dehydrate very well. And you know, once you've got this kind of consistency, you know, everything's mixed through nicely. All you really want to do is transfer this over to a pan, which I'm gonna, by the magic of editing, set up in just a second, and we'll move over and get these eggs cooked. Right then guys, so I've got this sort of frying pan warming over a medium heat. It's probably just about ready, and literally I'm just going to dump the whole lot of this in and let it start to form almost like a large pancake. Really doesn't matter at this point because it's going to be dehydrated and ground up later on. So while that's starting to sort of harden up, I thought I'd show you this. Now this is actually one of the very first spatulas I ever made. And it gets constant use in my kitchen, and it's held up pretty well, to be honest. And it's got that kind of slightly odd shape. I'm not sure where I got that from. I think I just carved it as it sort of happened. But yeah, so this is the one of my regular users. Now this is starting to firm up a little bit. All you want to do, make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. Very important that you don't use any oil here, because again, it just slows down the dehydrating process, and if there is any excess oil left that kind of stays in the dehydrator, it just gets stuck in the powder and can potentially ruin that batch. So you need to make sure this is a dry pan. Now I'm just going to carry on stirring this until it's completely cooked. and I think what I'll probably do is just skip through this footage so I'm not boring you for too long. So we're very nearly there, guys. Now what you want to try and do is two things that make this work a lot better. One is you need to cook your scrambled eggs until it is as dry as you can make it without it being burnt. And the second thing is that you need to try and break it up pretty small. The smaller these pieces are, the quicker and more evenly they will dehydrate. What you don't want is to have sort of like a really large piece in there that's not going to dry out the same as the rest, because when you come to grind it up, you'll end up with kind of moisture still in there, which is not what you're looking for. So as I say, this is about pretty much done. What I'll do, I'm going to give this another minute or two, and while I'm doing that off camera, I will break out the dehydrator and get that ready and set up. Right then, guys, so last step is to actually get this in the dehydrator, and all you want to make sure of is that it kind of isn't too bunched together in there. I mean, you can play around with it once it's in, but essentially you're just filling up each of your trays. I'm probably only going to need a couple for this small amount, but you just want to make sure you're not overpacking anywhere. You know, you don't want too much of it kind of touching, clumping together. That's probably all right for one tray, I would have said. And then carry on with the rest of the trays. You will find some of the smaller bits will fall through, but hopefully you can get a good idea on it. I'll move this up a bit for you. Hopefully you can see kind of the size of these in comparison to a tablespoon. And really, you know, I could spread this out much further in here if I wanted to, and I could have sort of half of this per layer, but it's not really going to give us any noticeable difference. Just filled that top one. So that is basically it, and the last thing to do, on with the dehydrator lid. Now before I turn it on, because this is fairly noisy, I would probably dehydrate this for, let me see, 4 to 6 hours, something along those lines. I mean, obviously check it after those times just to make sure that everything is dry all the way through. If it's not, obviously just give it a little bit longer. But I'm going to give this sort of maybe 4 to 6 hours. I will alternate these trays a couple of times within that time, just so that the ones on the bottom aren't getting you know, left by themselves. You know, I find that if I alternate between, say, these three, the top one tends to get a bit more heat than the bottom one, so it's just nice just to move them around a little bit now and again. So we will come back in a few hours. Right then, guys, it's been about 4 hours and everything has now fully dehydrated. I've let this cool down because you want to make sure these are cool before you try and grind them up. The big reason for that is that until they're completely cool, they are still quite spongy and soft. Once they've cooled down, you can just give the bigger pieces a bit of a squeeze, and as long as they are nice and sort of brittle, everything should be fine. So here's a little bit of a close-up. I've stuck these in a container. As you can see, they look a little bit like cornflakes, I suppose is probably the best example. Now there are various ways you can grind these up. You can use a pestle and mortar, which I've done in the past. It's a lot of hard work, to be fair. I've got one of these NutriBullet things here, and I find this works really, really well. So I'm just going to give these a very quick blitz, and I'll see how we get on. So that's the first go. That was probably about 10 seconds and it's powdered down quite nicely. Now it will need a couple of goes because you want this as fine as possible for when you're going to rehydrate it. There we go, and that's definitely a lot better. Very, very fine powder in there now, which I'm hoping you can see. And that's pretty much it, guys. All I will do now is transfer that over to my little kilner jar. And that's it, ready to go. Now I'm not going to rehydrate these on this episode. I realised I started putting some of this footage together earlier and it's actually gone on a bit longer than I intended. So if you do want to see these being rehydrated and reused, please let me know. And I'll more than happily do a video on that. I might even give me a chance to break out one of my little cook sets and you know, do it out in the field, or if not that, maybe out in the garden or something. So I hope it was useful, guys. As I say, these are really, really good. You can use these, not only take them out with you when you're going bushcrafting, you can use them in baking, cooking, all those kind of things. And it just means that once they've been processed, dehydrated and ground down like this. I mean, the jar I showed you earlier, when I've had that jar now, it's got to be coming on 6 to 8 months now, I suppose, that particular one. And the eggs that are inside it are just as good. So if you're looking to sort of store things away, even if you're doing something maybe like prepping or something like that, get a nice sealed airtight jar and they will keep for absolutely ages. So anyway, guys, as I say, hope it was useful. Any comments and questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks, guys.